where there's actually evidence of, well, there's actually pictures of where people found images of like parrots and dolphins.
Yes, I've seen those
I think
ones,
lions
yes.
as well.
Yeah.
And all around the same region. I haven't got these on my own website, but if you Google, you know, you'll find this somewhere.
There is a place that looks like a theme park, isn't there?
You told me about this actually on Sunday, and I haven't heard about this one.
And there's what looks like, and I mean, maybe this is very highly fanciful, but there's what looks like an old, you know, broken glass dome that once had a giant thing like a whale in it.
Oh, right.
But again, that is, you know, maybe that's very fanciful.
Yeah. Because it's interesting. I mentioned we mentioned the first. We haven't mentioned the pyramids that were discovered by Carl Sagan of all people. Now, Carl Sagan is like a famous astronomer. He worked for NASA. He was his principal investigator for some of the various missions. And Mariner 9 was the first orbiter basically to go into orbit and start mapping Mars. And what Mariner 9 did, it took an image of basically a series of hills that look kind of like small, more pyramidal pyramids. So rather than, unlike the DNM pyramid, it looked more like pyramids but they were kind of really low resolution. They could have been just hills. It was difficult to really say. But Carl Sagan said himself, he called them Elysian pyramids, and they're also known as the Sagan pyramids. And he basically said that, you know, to quote Sagan from his book Cosmos, the first signs of intelligent life on Earth lies in the geometric regularity of its constructions. So he's looking at Mariner photographs, seeing these geometric regularity, and basically thinking, if this was a terrestrial on Earth, you would assume this was going to be intelligently caused. But however,
so you can tell that. Yeah. You can tell from space by looking at things we've built. Yeah. That these are not natural things. Yeah, imagine you come to the Earth for the first time, you look down on, say, I don't know, like Central Africa, where there's maybe it's awesome desert. You'll see just desert and materials. If you accidentally take an image of New York, you see all these grids and all these perpendicular. Well, there are some other images of grids on Mars, aren't there? Some of which seem to have been erased.
Yeah, so actually, there's a really good example. Actually, I've got this on the website where when the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter went into, I think it was about 2007, I think it was, when that went into orbit on Mars, it was doing test shots on the cameras, and it took the first images it sent back had basically an image of a crater, and inside the crater what you had was basically mounds at perpendicular and parallel lines, and you know, in the centre bottom there's a crater with a kind of spiral that comes around, but looks like it could be a road. If this was an Earth, you think, it's like somebody's built that in the bottom of a kind of valley or something. It just looked like someone's built it. It's quite an interesting Star Wars analogy. Just like you know, just think about like how someone would build something underground in the bottom of a crater. Well, the thing is, this is Mars, so we don't think of it in that process, in them terms. But it's the first thing you would look for is geometry. And that's the first indication of life on Earth, so it should be our first indication of intelligent life on Mars or anywhere else, the Moon included.
Okay. Well, there's a chap here or a woman called the Chin, I suppose, said, would your guest comply with the theory that a meteor hit Earth, wiped out the dinosaurs, and human life conveniently appeared opposite on Mars? I'm not quite sure whether you're saying they came from Mars to here after the dinosaurs, or they escaped the meteor and went to Mars.
It's interesting, so the dinosaurs were wiped out, 64 million years ago? And it just happens that the theory about Mars being decimated was actually just happened to be 64 million years ago.
We're going to actually end the show in 10 seconds, I'm afraid.
Well, basically, the evidence seems to be that when Mars was decimated, if the theory is right, then what caused the death of the dinosaurs was the same thing that caused the death of, or at least tried to cause the death of life on Mars.
On that note, that is all we've got time for. Thank you to everyone for watching our special 2-hour show, and for those who texted, and thanks to my very special guest, Anthony Beckett. If you want more information, visit his website, anthonybeckett.com. Next week, we'll be back with yet another exciting show that might even change your life. Until then, remember, they're watching you, watching us, watching them. Cheerio.